Chapter 18. And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Eliah in the 3rd year, saying, Go, show yourself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the land. And Eliah went to show himself unto Ahab, and the famine was sore in Samaria. And Ahab, Obadiah, who was over the household. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so, when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets, and hid them 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said unto Obadiah, Go through the land unto all the springs of water, and unto all the brooks. Suppose we may find grass, and save the horses and mules alive, that we lose not all the beasts. So they divided the land between them to pass through it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Eliah met him. And he knew him, and fell on his face, and said, Is it you, my lord Eliah? And he answered him, It is I. Go, tell your lord, behold, Eliah is here. And he said, Wherein have I sinned, that you would deliver your servant into the hand of Ahab to slay me? As the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my Lord has not sent to seek you. And when they said, He is not here, he took an oath of the kingdom and nation, that they found you not. And now you say, Go tell your Lord, behold, Eliah is here. And it will come to pass, as soon as I am gone from you, that the Spirit of the Lord will carry you whither I know not. And so, when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find you, he will slay me. But I your servant fear the Lord from my youth. Was it not told my Lord what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord, how I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now you say, Go tell your Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he will slay me. And Eliah said, As the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab, and took him, and Ahab went to meet Eliah. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Eliah, that Ahab said unto him, Is it you, you troubler of Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house, in that you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and you have followed the Baal. Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the Asherah 400, that eat at Jezebel's table. And Ahab sent unto the children of Israel, and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Eliah came near unto all the people, and said, How long halt you between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then said Eliah unto the people, even I only, am left a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut in pieces, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under. And call you on the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord, and the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. And Eliah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for you are many, and call on the name of your God, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, answer us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they danced in halting wise about the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon, that Eliah made them, and said, Cry aloud, for he is God. Either he is musing, or he is gone aside, or he is in a journey, or suppose he sleeps and must be awaked. And they cried aloud, and cut themselves after their manner, with swords and lances, till the blood gushed out upon them. And it was so, when midday was past, that they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening offering. But there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. And Eliah said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was thrown down. And Eliah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be your name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench about the altar, as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bullock in pieces, and he laid it on the wood. And he said, Fill 4 jars with water, and pour it on the burnt offering, and on the wood. And he said, Do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, Do it the third time. And they did it the third time. And the water ran round about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening offering, that Eliah the prophet came near and said, O Lord, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that you, Lord, art God, for you did turn their heart backward. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, The Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God. And Eliah said unto them, Take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them. And Eliah brought them down to the brook of Kishon, and slew them there. And Eliah said unto Ahab, Get you up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of abundance of rain. Ahab went up to eat and to drink, and Eliah went up to the top of Carmel, and he bowed himself down upon the earth, and he put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, Go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up, and he looked, and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there ariseth a cloud out of the sea, as small as a man's hand. And he said, Go up, say unto Ahab, Make ready your chariot, and get you down, that the rain stop you not. And it came to pass in a little while that the heaven grew black, with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Lord was on Eliah, and he girded up his loins, and he ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. Okay, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, last chapter, yesterday, our story of Eliah, this, which means my mighty one is God, began, and Eliah or Elijah is going to be the great prophet, even of the end time, this one who comes to divide. He is drinking now of the brook of division, these waters that were before the Jordan, these waters that descended even from the altar of God. He drank thereof, and God nurtured him, and he's going to become this prophet now, even of the end time. And this story here is going to make this great example of the end time, of what Eliah is going to do. And verse 1, And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Eliah in the 3rd year, saying, Go show yourself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the land. So, after 3 years, after these complete understanding, after this 3 years, these 3 circles are made, saying, Go show yourself. God has told Elijah to go show himself now unto to Ahab, and he is the king of Israel. And we remember that Ahab married Jezebel, and he had continued in these great sins. Even he had raised up this Asherah. Verse 2, and Eliah went to show himself unto Ahab, and the famine was sore in Samaria. And this Samaria, now we're going to remember, was named after the city of Shamar, who it was purchased from, and its true meaning is Shamariah. And these are those of the dregs. These are those of the dregs, or those of the bottom. And now the famine is great there, and we're going to find out in the end time there is this great famine, and this is the famine that it's talking about is for the word of God. 3, and Ahab called Obadiah, who was over the household. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. So Ahab's got his servant Obadiah, and Obadiah means servant of God, servant of Yah, my servant of Yah, Yah's servant. And he does fear God greatly. He is not the prophet Obadiah that we would read about later on, and we can tell by just the language and the period of time, because there is no strife here of Edom. For it was so, when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. So Jezebel obviously has tried to kill off all the prophets of God, and we're learning that here now. She has tried to kill off prophets of God, and she has set up this place of worship her over for Baal. And Jezebel means to question the exalted. So she is the one who's causing the people to question this exalted because of this Balaam, this image that does block the light of God, and this Asherah, this step in their progress, that they do cause the people to error. But Obadiah now has took 100 prophets, and these 100 prophets, now this judgment of these seers, these ones who claim to have the word in their mouth, and he hid them 50 in a cave. So now these 100 were hid 50 in a cave, and this 50 is now the grace of judgment. Twice, these 2 caves, these 2 holes. And God wants you to witness now this judgment of these seers. 5, and Ahab said unto Obadiah, Go through the land unto all the springs of water, unto all the brooks. Suppose we may find grass, and save the horses and mules alive, that we lose not all the beasts. So now the king is going to send his servant Obadiah the land, and he said, Go search the springs of water and all the brooks. These springs are where the water just seeps forth from the earth, and these brooks are where it pulls up. And he sent him now. He said, Go look for some grass that we can save the horses, these things of strength, and these mules are always going to represent that sterile kingdom. 6, so they divided the land between them to pass through it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. So now God is dividing. God has sent one way, and God sent the other way. And they're going through all the land now, and they're looking for grass to feed their animals. 7, and as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Eliah met him, and he knew him, and fell on his face, and said, Is it you, my lord, Eliah? So now Obadiah, as he's going through, this servant of God, he comes across Elijah, Eliah, my mighty one is God. And he recognizes him, because there has been a great search for Eliah, because he is the one who prophesied of this great drought which caused the great famine. People are starving, and people are dying of thirst, and the animals are all dying, and there's great trouble in the land, see. And he's the one that prophesied it. They've been looking for him. And he said to Eliah, Is it you, my lord? 8, and he answered him, It is I. Go tell your lord, behold, Eliah is here. So 8, the he tells Obadiah now, he says, it's me. Now go tell Ahab I'm here. 9, and he said, wherein have I sinned, that you would deliver your servant unto the hand of Ahab to slay me? He said, now, so Obadiah is asking Eliah, what have I done now, that you would deliver me, your servant, into the hand of the king to kill me? 10, and as the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my Lord has not sent to seek you. And when they said he is not here, he took an oath of the kingdom and the nation that they found you not. So now Obadiah is telling him, hey, look, we've looked everywhere for you. There ain't a place or a rock that Ahab ain't turned over to find you. And when they couldn't find you in no place in Israel, he's took an oath. Who did he take an oath with? Probably Jezebel, because she's probably the one who's running the kingdom right now. And we're going to find that out. See, we're going to find out. Jezebel's running the kingdom. Ahab just her little puppet. So he's took an oath now that nobody could find you. And they think you're gone from the land, 11, and now you say, go tell your Lord, behold, Elijah is here. So now you want me to go tell him that here you are? 12, and it will come to pass, as soon as I am gone from you, that the Spirit of the Lord will carry you whither I know not. And so when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find you, he will slay me, but I, your servant, fear the Lord from my youth. So Obadiah is saying, now, surely if I go to tell Ahab, as soon as I'm gone, the Lord's going to send you somewhere, and nobody's going to be able to find you again. And then, when Ahab comes to looking for you, and they can't find you, he's going to kill me. And I've feared God from my youth. In other words, he's always trusted in God, and he is being told not to do this thing. 13, was it not told my Lord that I did what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord? How I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water? So now Obadiah is reminding Elijah, he said, didn't nobody tell you what I did? When this one who questions the mighty one slew all the prophets of God? How I hid 100 men, this was for the judgment. This that was for the judgment. 50 in a cave. And I fed them with bread and water. So Obadiah took care of them, feeding them with bread and water. And now you say, go tell, 14, your Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he will slay me. So Obadiah, he's saying, I did this for God, and now you're telling me, go tell Ahab that you're here, and he's going to kill me. 15, and Elijah said, as the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Elijah tells Obadiah, now, you could take these words to the bank, because as sure as God's alive, I'm going to show myself today. 16, so Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. So Obadiah now, he's done as Eliah had requested. And he's went and told Ahab, look, Elijah's here. And Ahab has went out to meet him. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, is it you, you troubler of Israel? And now when the king sees Elijah, he says, oh, is this you troubler of Israel? Is this the one who's making all the trouble? Is this the one who's prophesied this great drought and this famine that's killing us all? 18, and he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house, and that you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and you have followed the Baalim. So now, 18, Elijah's letting him have it. See, Elijah says, I'm not the trouble. It's you are. See, you are the trouble. You've forsaken the commandments of the Lord, see. Because when the rubber hits the road, when the matter's summed up, this is the law, this is the covenant, this is the covenant, this is the agreement that's made. You've forsaken the law, see. And you followed the Baalim. And these Baalim are these Lord images that they make for themselves. They form these up, and we're going to see now in the end time this work that God's doing, and they're working on God's project. They're forming up this mighty image, even this image that shall overtake the nations. 9, now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the Asherah 400, that eat at Jezebel's table. So Elijah's telling him now, because you've done this, you go get me and gather them up to Mount Carmel, this garden land. The prophets of Baal, these that serve this Lord image that you've made, 450, because 4 is God's work of judgment, and the law is grace. See now, this shall be the grace of the law, because this is going to be God's work in judgment. And go get the prophets of your Asherah 400, because why? These do work judgment. These prophets, these ones who speak in this progressive step up this Tower of Babylon. And they do eat at Jezebel's table. Those that question the Almighty. Those that don't think there's a true God. So they form up a God now. 20, and Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel, and they gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. So now, King Ahab, my father's brother, he does send, and he gathers all these prophets up out of Israel, and he brings them to the garden land. 21, and Eliah came near unto all the people, and said, how long halt you between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. And the people answered him not a word. So now Eliah, he's come up, all the people's gathered. This is the great showdown, see. We got all the prophets of Baal come up, and we got Eliah. And all the people have come down now to see this showdown, because there's going to be a battle here. There's going to be a great fight. And God, as Eliah's come near now to the people, and he says, how long halt you between two opinions? 2, now witness this division of this understanding, these opinions. How long halt you? And what this means is, how long will you stand there in indecision? How long will you not decide? How long will you doubt? How long will you not understand? And the people, they just stand there dumbfounded with their mouth open, because they don't know what to say. 22, then said Eliah unto the people, I, even I only, am left a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. So Eliah's telling them now, I, only I, am left the prophet of God. And all these prophets of this Lord they've made, this image of the Lord they've made, they're 450 now. They're going to work the judgment, because law is the grace to all man. And you're going to see it. 23, let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under it. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under. So Eliah's making a little challenge. He says, now let them give us 2 bullocks. Witness now these bullocks. Witness now these offerings. These bullocks are going to be for a burnt offering, see. That which is going to be made by fire. And he says, now you take one, and I'll take the other, and you cut him up, put him on the wood, and I'm going to do the same thing, but don't put no fire under it. 24. And you call you on the name of your God, and I'll call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. So now, all the people, they're all in agreement for this, because, see, there's nobody's going to light a fire now under these offerings. God is going to come down and consume them by the fire. And we know now this is the law of God, because it is a consuming fire. 25. And Eliah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you one bullock for you yourselves, and dress it first, for you are many, and call on the name of your God, but put no fire under it. So Elijah is telling these prophets of Baal, these prophets who serve this Lord image they've made for themselves, he tells them, he says, you take one bullock there for yourselves, and you dress it first, because you're many. There's a whole bunch of you, and it's going to take a little while, but I'm by myself over here, and it won't take just a minute. Now, you're a bunch of you now. You go ahead, but don't put no fire under it. Call on the name of your God. There's not a God, as we're getting ready to find out. 26. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it. They called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, answer us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they danced in halting wise round the altar which was made. So here they are, they're all dancing around in their halting ways, going around, dancing and twirling all around this altar which they have made, this altar under their Lord image, this step in progress they've made for themselves. 27, it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is God. Either he is missing, or he is gone aside, or he is in a journey, or suppose he sleeps and must be awaked. So Elijah's noon now, and the sun is at its peak, and the sun is at its height in the sky, and the light does shine forth straight down, and the shadows now of the day are going away. And Elijah begins to make fun of them, and he says, Hey, cry louder. Maybe, he's a god. He got these great big ears. Either he's musing. Maybe he's having fun somewhere. Or he's gone aside. Maybe he's out of the way right now. He had something else to do. Or he's in a journey. Maybe he's gone somewhere. Or suppose now he's asleep and you got to wake him up. So Elijah, he's just having this sport with them. And they cried aloud, and they've cut themselves, 28, after their manner with swords and lances, till the blood gushed out upon them. So they're taking these swords, this represents the truth, these words, and these lances, these instruments of sharpness now that they've used to cut themselves in reference to even that covenant that was made. The blood gushed out upon them. The blood's pouring out all over the place. They're all dancing around this bullock they've set there, they've cut, this sacrifice that they've prepared, see, and they're calling on the name of their whatever it is. And it was so, 29, when midday was past, that they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening offering. But there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. And we'll see, they've carried on all day now, dancing around there, cutting themselves, probably about half dead and bleeding to death. And they've done this all the way to the evening offering, all the way to what I like to call is supper time. But there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. So, we find now there was no one to hear them. There was nobody there. No one answered, nor did anybody care. 30. And Eliah said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was thrown down. So now they've had their fun all day. They've had their big party, and everybody's been watching them see what's been going on. This has been going on all through this time of light, this time of understanding. This time God's going to make known. Yeah, and Eliah, see, he's repaired now this altar of God that's been thrown down, this altar where your sacrifices were supposed to be brought, even by the law, where God told you now and instructed you on how to do so. 31, and Eliah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be your name. So now he's taken these 12 stones, and we're going to see he's going to use these 12 stones, and he's going to build an altar, see, because these 12 stones represent even these 12 tribes of Jacob, whom God said, your name shall be Israel. And this is the man who will have the rules of God, not rule over God, but be given that rule of God. Even this law that was given to God, to all the earth by them. Because, see, now we're going to take these 12 tribes and we're going to make the original example that should have been made in the first place. Even these 12 tribes, each one given so that we might see that there is a God and have understanding. 32, and with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord. And he made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And now we see, 32, that Eliah has taken these stones and he's built this altar back up of God. That original altar that was made from the beginning, even this covenant for humanity that was given from the beginning, even the example of it. And he's made even a trench around this altar now. He's dug a ditch around it. He's dug a ditch all the way around it now, and that is to contain it. And this ditch would contain 2 measures. Now witness this measurement, see. Witness this thing that has been measured out and prepared, the weight thereof known, of this seed, even this that will bring forth the end time harvest. 33, and he put the wood in order, and he cut the bullock in pieces, and he laid it on the wood. So now Eliah is preparing now his sacrifice, see. And he puts the wood in order, just like it's supposed to be, laid out in order according to the way it was supposed to be done. This wood is that which shall be burnt, that which shall fire the sacrifice. And he cuts the bullock now into pieces. He divides it up, just like it's supposed to be. And he lays it on the wood. He stretches it out there. Everything's in order now, according to the way God meant it to be. 34. And he said, fill 4 jars with water, and pour it on the burnt offering and on the wood. And he said, do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, do it the third time. And they did it the third time. So now Eliah said, now go fill these 4 jars with water, these 4 vessels with this truth. He says, now pour it out on the offering, this burnt offering, this sacrifice that should be made. And these 4 is the work of God in these vessels. And they poured it all out there on it, these 4 vessels of water, these 4 jars, these 4 periods. And he said, now do it a second time. And they did it a second time. Now witness this. And he said, now do it a third time. So on the third time they filled these 4 vessels with water, because now it's complete. And they did it a third time. Now 3 times it's complete. This wheel goes round. And the water ran, 35, about the altar. And he filled the trench also with water. So now this water, it's running all off the altar and the wood and this bullock. This whole place is wet. And the water's gone down, it's run, and he's made sure the trench is full as well. And this water that would run all the way around now, this offering, this ring of understanding that will separate and cut off, he is making. 36. And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening offering, that Eliah the prophet came near, and he said, O Lord, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. So now Eliah, he's got everything in order and everything set right. And he's come to approach God in his prayer, and he says to him, O God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day. Let it be known now in this understanding, and let it be known this day, this little circle, that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. So Eliah is telling God, and in front of all the people, that they can hear him, that let it be known, God, that you are God, and that you have sent me to do all these things as a sign. 37, hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that you, Lord, art God, for you did turn their heart backwards. Elijah's praying now, and he says, hear me, God, hear me now, twice, that this people may know that you, Lord, are God, for you did turn their heart backwards. And we're going to find now this is what God's done in the end time. He has caused them to go backwards and trip and fall on the law. See, and they have erred now. They have served their Balaam, and God's getting ready to show them now that they have erred greatly. Because 38, then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering and the wood and the stones and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. So as soon as these things were made known, see, that all this is what happened. This fire that comes from the law, this consuming fire that comes down from God, and it accepts this offering now that Elijah makes, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and it licks up the water that's in the trench. So it devours everything. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, the Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. So now, God has made Himself known to all these people and all these prophets of Baal through His fire that He sent down to consume even this offering that is being made to God on His altar. 40, and Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them. And Eliah brought them down to the brook of Kishon, and slew them there. So we're going to see now, after this, Elijah tells them, now take the prophets of Baal, take these ones who have come, speaking all these words about this image of their Lord. Don't let one of them escape. And they do. They take hold on them. And they bring them down to this brook of Kishon. And Kishon is this bent. Kish means to be bent. And this is the well of it and the brook thereof, where the waters have pulled up even out of this well of bentness, this well of crookedness. Because what it is, it's a snare. And it's like a limb bent over with a snare on the end of it, waiting to go off. And we'll see Elijah slew them there. And this would be where they're slain. 41, Eliah said unto Ahab, get you up, eat and drink, for there is the sound of the abundance of rain. So after all this, now, all the truths come out, and all the understandings made known, and all these prophets are slain now, even by the word of God, even by the law. Eliah tells Ahab, he says, now get you up, eat and drink, for I hear the sound of rain coming. And we're going to find out this ain't just rain. Oh, there's a storm coming. 42. So Ahab went up to eat and to drink, and Eliah went up to the top of Carmel, and he bowed himself down upon the earth, and he put his face between his knees. Ahab's went off to eat and drink like nothing's happened, and Eliah, he's went up to the top of Carmel, top of this mountain there of the garden place, of the garden of God, and he's bowed himself down upon the earth, and he's put his face between his knees. So he's kind of in a fetal position there, like a child, balled up. And he said to his servant, 43, go up now and look toward the sea. And he went up and he looked, and he said, there's nothing. And he said, go again 7 times. So now Elias commanded his servant, and he told him, he says, now go up and look toward the sea. And this sea is always going to represent the multitudes of the nations and the multitudes of the people. And he's telling his servant now to go look up there and look for rain. And his servant says, there's nothing there. And he said, now go again 7 times. 7 is perfection now. And these times are these circles that we're going to make. Now this perfection. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, behold, there arise a cloud out of the sea, as small as the man's hand. And he said, go up and say unto Ahab, make ready your chariot, and get you down, that the rain stop you not. So now Eliah, his servant's gone back, and the 7th time he went back, now this is perfection and of God's plan. He said, there arises a little cloud out of the sea, as small as a man's hand. See, so he says, no, I do see a little cloud there coming up out of the sea, and it's as small as a man's hand. And this man's hand is going to represent now this work that God's going to give now into the hand of a man. Even this small work. And now as soon as Elias sees this, hears this, that he does see a small cloud. He tells you, now you go tell Ahab, get ready and get down from up here off his high place, that the rain don't stop him. That all this rain that God's getting ready to send, this great truth that God's getting ready to pour out, because see, that's what all this represents. Even that fire that come down, this law of God that's going to return. 45, and it came to pass in a little while that the heaven grew black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. So now my father's brother, this rain, this little cloud is turned into a major storm, and all the heavens are getting black, and the clouds and the wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab makes a break for Jezreel. And this Jezreel is this place where God sows his seed. 46. And the hand of the Lord was on Eliah, and he girded up his loins, and he ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. And we're going to find out now that God is with Elijah. And Elijah girds up his loins. He makes himself ready to go, and he runs before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. So he runs ahead of him. He's faster than him on foot, and he makes it there to Jezreel, this place where God sows to cut Ahab off. And this is that place where God does come and God does divide now in the end time. Even this place where he has sown his seed. All right, we are going to move on to chapter 19.